If you want to get the top odds every time, bet with Top Sport's Same Game Multi. Top Sport. Feel the excitement.
Gamble responsibly.
Well, here we go. Finals time is upon us. If you take a deep breath, you can almost smell it. Except if you're in the studio, that's just Birdo. But we'll get to that another stage. Welcome back to another edition of the Same Game Multi podcast. Thank you once again for joining us for finals, round one, week one of the finals. Very excited here in the studio. Some great games coming up. As I introduce the lads, Mr. Burton wearing his Parramatta kit.
Mate, I can't
confident?
Can't help us. No, I'm not confident at all. But I thought I'd be a good sport and wear it. So as my multi reflect on it a bit later on when it's my game. But I'm pumped. Finals coming up this weekend. Been waiting a long time. Let's go, eh?
Best of the best. And Mr. Matthew Mark Cherry, the Roosters, the Chooks are crowing.
They are, mate. Hopefully this week we can replicate last week's result. We've got a couple of key players still out, but a couple of key ones back in, which we'll mention a bit later on.
Yeah, definitely. To help us through the four big games is our main man up north, the CEO of Top Sport, and that is Tristan Merlihan, and he joins us on the phone right now. G'day, Tristan.
G'day, boys. How you going?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, ticking along all right. So all good on my end.
Bit crook last week, mate. You come good?
Yeah. A bit. The kids gave me something, so I've come good now. So back to full health.
That's what Birdo says after a night out. He doesn't even have kids, so
it's difficult at times.
He blames them. Mate, how's the market looking up for these four games? The punters getting on?
Yeah, the market is they're very, very good games. If the AFL's anything to go by, where there were four cracking first finals, hopefully we can get something similar in the league. And the betting markets is something similar. We look like we've got four competitive matches where we've got a couple of shorties to start, Penrith and the Storm, but both of the underdogs are both under $3, and then we've got two really tight betting games in the last couple. So it should be a great weekend of footy.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll get into those in a moment, but before we do, mate, we'll hit you with our Top Sport, top that moment of the round, a highlight from last week, gentlemen. Who wants to go first?
I might as well hit it, Ches. I don't know if you're going to like this one because it was against the Roosters boys, but I can't go past Tane Mills' try in the corner, that freak effort where he tiptoed along the line, 2 steps right on his toes, and then still had enough athleticism to launch himself airborne on a 90-degree angle, horizontal, mate.
They're amazing, aren't they?
Somehow got the ball down in the corner.
Yeah.
Considering he was only on 2 tippy-toe steps right on the sideline and still got the ball down, mate, that was freak, so can't go past it.
Good shout. Ches?
Mine was the comeback efforts in 2 games, the Warriors-Titans game and the Dogs-Manly. Watching those games, you thought like the game was pretty much done and dusted, and then kabang, switched over, and the guys that were behind ended up winning. So it's always good to watch those games. It keeps you watching right till the end of the game.
Yep, and you just stole mine, so that was mine. Mine was the 2 field goals in those games. Obviously, the Doggies up against Manly. Mr. Burton, any relation? Matt Burton?
I wish.
Kick similar.
I taught him everything he knew.
Kick of the field goal, and also Tanner Boyd for the Titans against the Warriors there. So a couple of games that sort of didn't have any reflection on the top 8 moving forward. But for me, that was kind of made those games a bit interesting to watch as well. So I'm with you, Ches.
Yeah, it's very unlucky too. The Tigers couldn't score their 55-point win to get Brisbane back into the 8.
Not wrong. Over to you, Tristan. Your judge, mate.
I think we're not going to be able to do it for the rest of the year, so I think we have to give the big tick to the Titans field goal because that was a big comeback by them and getting back into the match and getting a result of at least to gave all fans up here a little bit of confidence leading into the off-season. So that'll be my one for the week.
Something to build on for next year, that's for sure. Yeah. Very good. All right, let's jump into these games, mate, and we've got some crackers. And first up, we've got the Panthers up against the Eels. What's the market looking like and where's the money going?
Yeah, this one, it's been a common trend in the first 2 games where there's been good support for the favourites at the head-to-head, and the Panthers are $1.41 head-to-head, the Eels are $2.95, but then on the line betting, there's been good support for both of the outsiders plus the start. So Penrith are -8 flat at $2, and the Eels are +8 flat at $1.80. So at the moment, we've got a push for the head-to-head and then on Penrith, and then a push for Parramatta plus the start. So we've got an ugly little split there, 1-8 at the moment.
Big news, Nathan Cleary comes back, mate. Does that affect that market at all? If he was still out, would it be a bit close, you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. If Cleary was out, it's probably maybe 4. He's certainly the most influential player in that Panthers side. He will be a little bit short of a run, you would imagine. So if the Panthers can get a result here, it will they'll be much better week 3, even though they get another week off week 2 if they do get the result here. So, but Parramatta have obviously got a very good record against Penrith, beating them twice this year already. Yeah,
exactly. So who's your tip for the game, mate? Who are you picking?
I think Penrith will be too good. I think they've really timed their run well. I think they're a class above every other side in this competition, and I think we've probably forgotten that a little bit with so many of their players out over the last month, and then obviously resting so many players against the Cowboys. So despite Parramatta having a really good record against them, I think there's probably been a few reasons, and they've caught them off guard. They won't be catching Penrith off guard on Friday night, and I think they might be a bit too good.
Yeah, I think they'll be primed, ready to go myself as well.
Tristan, mate, speaking of good records, Melbourne, Canberra, down in Melbourne. Canberra have a good record travelling to Melbourne, mate. What's the market looking like there?
Yeah, well, this game's very similar in the betting. It's 141 Melbourne, 295 Canberra, and 8.5 is the line. $2 the minus, 180 the plus. I find this one interesting because I think Canberra beat them about 6 weeks ago, and that was when Melbourne were down on form, and I think they would have been really revved up to get a win that day, and Canberra was still too good, and they came and beat them from behind. So I think that's got to have some credence there. I'm just not convinced Melbourne's going great. They had a 2 or 3 game patch in the middle there where they looked like they'd turned it around, but they played a Penrith side with a lot of players out. They played the Titans and the Warriors over that period, and the Titans, if a couple of things had gone their way, might have been able to pinch it. And then since they've got out of that, they were well and truly beaten by the Roosters and the Eels. So Canberra side on the up, it wouldn't surprise me if they push towards an upset here.
Mate, you haven't got any inside information about what position Cam Munster's going to be playing, do you?
I certainly don't have any inside information, but I think it will depend on Jerome Hughes has been named, but I still think there's got to be some doubt over his availability because those calf strains don't just go away rapidly. So I think that will be instrumental in where he lines up.
Mate, the next game I'm really looking forward to. Out of all the games, this is probably one that I'm most intrigued by, to be honest. And looking at the market, I think it's the closest here as well. The Sharkies up against the Cowboys, Saturday at Shark Park. Talk us through that one.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the most important game of the round in some sense. Well, for the premiership betting in some senses, because the winner of this game goes straight through to week 3 and gets to host that week 3 final. And if Penrith do win that opening game, they'll be on the opposite side of the draw to them, which is massive. And I just get the feeling with the way some of these players, the likely winner from the Storm Raiders game and the Roosters Rabbitohs game are both going to be coming in red hot. And it wouldn't surprise me if the loser of this game does go out straight sets because I think they'll be facing a pretty hot team there. So it's a massive game. The Sharks are slight favourites, $1.70. The Cowboys, $2.15. And the line is 2.5. So bit of money for the Sharks at the minus, but I think it's going to be a beauty, and I think the winner of this is going to be the biggest mover in terms of where the premiership betting looks after this. I think the winner's going to firm up significantly, and the loser's going to be out the gate.
Yeah, I'm picking the Cowboys for an upset there, boys.
Yeah, I can't go past Cronulla. They'll be too strong at home.
It should be a good game.
Yeah, I don't really care who wins that one. I think it's just going to be a really good game. I don't know. I'm going to go Sharks, I think, because it's a Sharkies home one. Tristo finished off the first week of finals, mate. Got the oldest rivalry going, the Mighty Chooks and the Bunnies. Mate, where's all the money moving this one? Are the Roosters paying about $1.05?
This will be a cracker as well. Obviously, they played each other last week. The interesting part here is that both sides get plenty of players back. We've got Suolahi, Tupu and Radley back for the Roosters, and then importantly Cook back for the Rabbitohs. But the one that probably will go unnoticed on the team list is that Murray isn't back, but he was knocked out in that first minute of the game on the weekend. So if he plays, that's going to be a massive change for the Rabbitohs, I feel. And obviously Joey Manu out, who's probably been the Roosters' best player along with Teddy all year. So it's $1.60 the Roosters, $2.35 the Rabbits, and 4.5. So the market's a little bit shorter than what it was last week after the Roosters were dominant there last weekend, but I just don't know. I think there might be a chance here for the Rabbitohs to cause an upset with those couple of key player changes.
And you speak about the player change, mate. Also, Stretch is back in as well. Campbell Graham out there in the centres, who's a great defensive centre. So he's a big inclusion as well for the Bunnies. So, yeah, as I said at the start, some cracking games, some very intriguing games coming up throughout the weekend. So we're pumped here. I'm sure you are up there as well, mate.
Yeah, no, it should be good. So we're looking forward to a big weekend of football, and yeah, hopefully everyone that has a bet backs a few winners and do so responsibly, of course.
As always, that's our main man up north, Tristan Merlehan, CEO of Top Sport. If you do like that, get across, sign up, use the app, and use the code SGM Podcast when you do create your self-account. Thanks very much, mate. We'll chat again next week for week 2 of the finals.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, some great games coming up, so should be fantastic. Straight from kickoff, usually got those seat fillers in there that we usually have, the Tigers up against the Warriors or whatever it might be, but that's all gone, mate. This is the sticky end of the season.
Seat fillers, that's been generous too.
$50 a ticket out, like it.
Yeah. No, I'm pumped, and it's funny this time of year too, when you've got basically all the 8 are in form, particularly when you look at sides, say the Raiders, for example. Unfortunately, I've almost put my pen through them. I don't think they'll trouble Melbourne as much as I want to say they will. The only problem is they also carry momentum through, whereas sometimes you get those sort of sides that scrape in. Now they did only just scrape in, but they did it convincingly in the last week. Now it depends on which way you look at it. What would you prefer? Would you prefer belt someone and cruise into the first week of finals from the last round, or would you rather a bit of an arm wrestle, a safe arm wrestle with no injuries, etc. But then also that could potentially carry a little bit of fatigue, so it's tricky. But the way I see it, I think that them building the Tigers, unfortunately, it did happen from a Balmain or a West point of view. But I think the Raiders will carry momentum. But mate, I can't see them getting close to Melbourne.
Yeah, I think the best thing for them is they haven't had a downslide and just stayed in.
Yeah.
They had to earn that
they're
spot.
on the way up.
They had to climb.
Yeah.
If
Whereas if it had been the Broncos, for example, that might have been a little bit of a different story. So if they scraped in, then them being on a bit of a slump on the way out, whereas the Raiders are climbing their way in.
I think if the Broncos scraped in, I reckon Melbourne would put 50 on them this week if they are playing the Broncos. Whereas Canberra, I'm still picking Melbourne to win, but Canberra might just push them, might be a little bit closer than that. So we'll get to all that in a minute, boys. But before we do, let's do our...
You are off. Don't talk to me. Just go.
Our send-off. Our send-off for the weekend. We talk about all the good stuff. Now we get to vent and talk about the stuff that pissed us off a little bit.
I did have a send-off. I was stewing on something all weekend, but I can't remember now.
Oh, really?
It's escaped me.
It'll come to you after 2. You'll be pissed.
Yeah, I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and I'll have no one to tell, so I'll be ringing yous. There was something.
Talon May?
Yeah, that's up there.
What's up with that?
I don't, mate. All those people out there that say that Penrith aren't protected, that proves that they are, mate. I understand it's an off-field indiscretion, but at the same time, mate, what about the no-fault stand-down clause where people missed, people like Jack DeBella? Now, we won't go into his reasonings or anything like that, but that's an example of a bloke who missed so much football for an off-field indiscretion, effective immediately. But all of a sudden, this isn't effective immediately. I don't understand the process there. Or how, and they wonder why you get labelled with this sort of stuff. Now, I'm not having a go at Penrith in general at all, because it realistically doesn't. It's not them making the decision, so to speak. I just don't understand how they come to that suspension 2 weeks in the future and let him play finals. Mate, in my eyes, if he had been stood down for the no fault stand down, then he wouldn't be playing. But all of a sudden he can.
Well, they said that they're going to give him finals games are worth more, but they're going to give him 2 normals games. Why not just give him 1 finals game?
Exactly right.
They're top 2, so they're going through the second or third week of the finals, and no matter what, give him the 1 week, stand him down now, and be done with it.
Then again,
give him half the suspension. If final games are worth more, give him half what the suspension was going to be, and move on.
See, again, that's a jar of worms, and it's a sign of inconsistency that they say that finals games are worth more than a regular season game. What if it was the Raiders game on the weekend and Brisbane won? That game's probably their biggest game of the season.
I bet you Cam Smith spewing about his chicken wing tackle
there you go.
Many years ago that was, and he missed the grand final.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so what happens then if if like the average player goes out on the weekend, punches a bouncer, gets done, and then has to play finals. Does he then have to wait till next year to do his
exactly
do
right.
his 2 weeks now? Or is
And
it,
then
it's
they
gonna
can't
be-
say, right, so that'll be a 2-game ban. Then you say, well, that'll be 2 games next year because
because I've got these games coming up here. I've got to play in them. Yeah, shits me.
So we're all in agreement. That's our combined send off. Just go with that. You reckon?
A triple send off.
don't.
But we won't send them off till next year.
Yeah,
We won't
well,
play
that's
for the
right.
finals.
We'll leave that one.
Revisit it round 2 next year. Very good. It's good to get that off your chest. I like our little venting session. I actually had a bit
Could
of
go for hours, but
yeah, good. I actually had a bit of a top that moment, which I forgot to mention. I had a little bet with a person I work with the other day on the. She's a Manly supporter, so had a little bet on the Doggies game, and come up trumps. So shout out to you, Rach. Your prize will be coming when you get back from your holiday, so look out for that. So
now we're talking.
yeah,
eh?
so fantastic. Now, boys,
money
let's-
for jam.
Oh, it was easy pickings, I tell you. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. The Bulldogs.
No. It's like my carton at the start of the year that Parramatta finish higher than St George. Said, no worries, brother, go and get it now for me.
Put it on ice for me. Let's jump straight into beer of the week. Thanks to the Whitebull Hotel, as always, fantastic sponsors of the show. Each and every week, I'll give the boys a 6-pack of beer to sample, and they'll give you their stubby lid rating and tell you a little bit about it, and they're a bit of a review on it. What do you got this week, lads?
Heaps normal
Heaps normal.
is what it's called. Delicious, refreshing, non-alcoholic beer. Hey, there's one for you.
Stitch up.
Apparently, it's too good to waste. So it's a quiet XPA, less than 0.5% alcohol. It's actually not bad.
Now, we had the, you were
Considering-
away the other week, Ches, but you had the Northern
Colonial
Zero or whatever. No, the
that was
non-alcoholic Zero. What was
that was a couple of weeks ago. That
Yeah.
was,
So this is similar, compares to that? or-
well, it's different, see, because this is an XPA, so it's a lot hoppier. Whereas the Northern Zeros are a lager, and that was actually pretty good. I think I might have given that. It was quite a high rating.
Yeah, it
so,
was, yeah.
considering this is non-alcoholic, it is an XPA, so it is like fairly hoppy, but it's not that bad. Considering generally XPAs will blow your head off.
Yeah, it's not one of those rotten fruit salad beers like we have tried.
The Wiggles.
It's very very weak. I don't know how to put my glasses on. I thought up the top it said quiet XPA, no downloads, but it's no downsides.
It does look like downloads, doesn't it?
It does.
Squinting.
A little brain with legs on the can. I don't know what he's holding. Oh, it's a fork and a can. Don't eat your soup with a fork. I think that's
Hey, there you go.
Obviously, big
Hey,
listeners to the podcast.
the loud mouth soups.
they're not bad, but they're not great. I don't know. They just taste weird. It's almost like when you mix soda water with something. You know how it sort of dulls the flavour down?
Yeah.
So it's like
Or
beer
you like
mixed
drink-
with soda water.
Yeah. You just have a mouthful of Coca-Cola and then you have a mouthful of Coke Zero and you sort of get that, oh, what the fuck? Yeah.
Half a point for the can opener.
Half a point
Yeah.
because it's a can.
One of
Easy
them.
access.
Half a point because it come from Hawkeyes. That's a 1. And I'll give it another point because it come from the White Bulls. So 2 points for the heaps normal. And if that's heaps normal, I'm fucking weird.
We've known that for a long time.
So it's a delicious, refreshing beer, tropical and citrus aroma, unfiltered for a balanced bitterness and stable malt sweetness. I don't know about that. Yeah, I'll give it half a star because it is a can, easily accessed, just how I like it. And I'm gonna give it a 2.5 with a lid 3.
3, and for you, what was your phone?
2.
2. So your points are only for the lid, because
lid
it's from the White Ball
come
and from Hawkeye.
Hawkeye
Nothing to
gave
do
it
with
to
the
us.
beer itself.
If it didn't come from there and it was one of those
Pop
the
tops.
corkscrew pop toppers, it
Zero.
would have been probably maybe a half.
It'll be on
because it was
raw.
cold.
No, I'll give it a 3.
3 and a 2. Not too bad for something new. If you do like to try these new beers, get on down to the White Bull, grab yourself. I think these ones come in a 4-pack, so grab yourself a 4-pack, even a carton, even better. Got the finals footy coming up, so I'm sure you'll drink them.
Can you
by the
imagine
time
going
the
to a
weekend's
party?
over?
Taking a carton of non-alcoholic beer and smashing the whole carton. Can you imagine doing that? People be going, that dude there just pumped a full carton of 30-pack of cans and walking fine, mate.
Got in his car and drove home.
He got in his car and drove home. People down the road calling the cops saying they're fucking Imagine that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Imagine that.
That's something Noah Walton would do as well for his shout.
Imagine, you could just say someone turn up to like a barbecue. Don't worry, boys, I got the beers.
Hooking in like their lemonade too, drinking.
Good times. Mercy. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, talk some footy the other side.
Having a bet on sport this week? Top this.
Whether you're into cricket and curling or golf and greyhounds, Top Sport will let you on for plenty. And with literally hundreds of markets from your own backyard to the international stage, Top Sport has you well covered. So if you want to get the top odds every time, bet with Top Sport.
Top that. Download the app today. Top Sport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking around. We're going to cover off the 4 big games now. And first off, as we spoke about with Tristan, is the Panthers up against Eels. This one's on Friday, so no Thursday night football. We're just talking about that in the ad break. Bit unfortunate, but we should have some good games to make up for us. So Friday, 7:50pm out there at Penrith Stadium. $1.41. Panthers are the favourites here. $2.95 if you do like the Eels. The line is set at 8. Get the Panthers at the minus for $2 or the Eels at the plus for $1.80. You got the Parramatta colours on, mate, but your thoughts on the game?
It's a tricky one, boys, because I want to, at the same time, I want to, how would you say it? I want to tip with my heart, but at the same time, you got to tip with my head. I always say I'm an honest punter when I do my footy tipping, boys, listeners, viewers. If I know Parramatta's not going to win, I'm not going to tip Parramatta. If that makes sense. I'm in the comp, mate. I'm an absolute diehard. I'm a fanatic, boys. I wear this when we're winning wooden spoons and stuff, mate. I'm walking down the mall in summer in the off season after a wooden spoon wearing my Para jersey, mate. I don't give a fuck. I'm that passionate about Para, but at the same time, I'm in there to. I'm in the footy tipping competition to win it. So if I know Parramatta's not going to win, then I'm not going to tip them. This week, boys, I've tipped Penrith, and my multi will reflect on it. I've gone Penrith 1-12, boys. I think. The one thing that sort of damages, depends on how you look at it. Parramatta's a big chance of winning this. Don't get me wrong, massive chance of winning this. They've got the wood over them at the moment. The only issue I see is if they do end up losing either side, how much of a toll is it going to take? Boys, this is going to be a smash-up derby, regardless of whatever else. So too, the only other I have the feeling with numerous other games, the Chooks game is going to be a bash-up derby, and so is this one here. So hopefully there's no injuries, touch wood, come out of it. But boys, like I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with my head here on this one, and I'm going to go Penrith. I think they'll be too strong. Now Cleary's coming back. He still had a chance to play. To train, sorry.
He has been injured.
He will be missing that little bit of match fitness, boys, but at this time of year, mate, if he's still training and stuff, mate, his conditioning's still up, so he might be all the more good for a run sort of thing, but...
And it's not like he's a front rower either.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
so he's not
like
taking
a big
the...
fella that's
absolutely.
in the same situation he's fit as anyway. Coruscant also returns, and so does Spencer Leniu, which is good for them. And just for the Parramatta boys, they're unchanged. Nathan Brown back in amongst the reserves, so that's interesting.
Yeah, he's coming back from
he'll get a start, but
from a hand injury, no compound finger or something.
Another COVID injury.
Yeah, could be a compound finger or something like that. So, but I do have the one question now. Brad Arthur's in the position where the side's his. 100% his. He makes it all, and basically he's in a paid position where he lives by the sword, he dies by the sword. So the only question I have is, it's not because of the ability, it's Jake Arthur coming off the bench. Now that's all good and well if there's a half go down or if Reid Marnie goes down, which is a 9. The only issue is when you're playing a side like Penrith, when you got players like Junior Parlour, Regan Campbell-Gillard are running straight at Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris all night, that takes its toll. So if you're only going to play 3 forwards on the bench and they've got 4 forwards on the bench, that's where you need a Bryce Cartwright, for example, or a Nathan Brown in there, someone who can ball play. That way you can push Murata Nair Corey into the centres. If something goes wrong, you can reshuffle. But the only problem is Jake Arthur, you can't do that. Whereas Jermaine Salmon, for them, he's very similar, but he's also a big boy. He's big enough to play back row. And you could almost, if you wanted to restructure your back line if something does happen, then it just, the puzzle goes together a little bit better. So, but apart from that, I think both sides will be 100%. But I do get the feeling that it sort of pays into Penrith's favour by playing at home.
Yeah, it should be a cracker. Chez, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as you. I want Parramatta to win this game, but I'm going to have to go with Panthers. Use the head, clear his back. He's going to be putting on a show. They have been good pretty much all year. The only ones that have ruffled them are Parramatta. That's why it's got that little bit of a feel to it. Are they going to do it again?
See, that's
they
the other
can
thing.
do it again.
You've done it twice, doing it 3 times in the space of 2 months.
But will that finals nerves sort of creep in and, they're a little bit extra? I don't know, but I'm going to have to take Panthers in the tips. But in the back of the mind, I'll be blue and gold. But, I just hope this game it's just real close too. I hope it's one of those real edge-of-the-seat games.
I'd rather beat them by 40.
Yeah, true.
if I'm honest, I won't have a heart attack then.
Panthers for me, boys, and your multi, mate.
My multi, yeah. So I'll try to remember off the top of my head. Mike Acevo, anytime try scorer. The points are under.
No. Over.
Oh, no, points are... Oh, wait up. I've got it now. Stop yelling at me. So I've got points over 39.5. Mike Acevo, anytime try scorer. And I've gone the Panthers to win 1-12, $13.72. 3 legs.
Good. I think it'll be close. I like that 1-12. And the good thing about that bet is generally you don't really know who you're backing, like who you're punting for at the end of the game.
Exactly.
You might want Parra to win if the scores are that way, or it's actually go Panthers. So I kind of like that 1-12 as well. Next game, boys, Saturday, 5:40 p.m. A Storm up against the Raiders. This one's down in Amy Park, down there in Melbourne, so home ground advantage for the Storm. $1.41 are the Storm, the favourites here. $2.95 outsiders, the Raiders. 8.5 is the line. $2 for the Storm at the minus, or $1.80 at the plus. Very similar odds to the last game. As we were just speaking about, the Raiders come in with a bit of momentum. They won 5, 6, 7 in a row or something now. Storm, as Tristan said, were good a few weeks ago, but their competition wasn't great. I didn't really think about that till he's mentioned the Warriors and Titans and something in there. They didn't play that toughest competition, and had a big loss last week. Who did they play last week? Parramatta.
They were
not a big loss, but
they were bashed.
They were bashed. The scoreline didn't reflect the game, I don't think. Parramatta let them back into the game late. And still a bit of doubt around Jerome Hughes, whether he's going to play or not. And I think that's going to be a big difference in this game, whether he plays or not, as to who's going to win, to be honest.
See, it's funny. Melbourne are that sort of side, and unfortunately for the Raiders, they're one of those sort of sides. They're super strong at home. The good thing for the Raiders, though, for them playing at home, they'll be playing in those night game. They'll be playing in those funny sort of afternoony, twilighty sort of conditions, which will suit the Canberra side. So that dewy sort of surface and that weird sort of light as they deal with down in the nation's capital. So that works into their favourite at the same time. But one thing Melbourne are good for, Melbourne, mate. They get to this time of year and they just flick that switch and they are a different side.
Yeah, they've got those big game players still in the side, even though they've lost like so many players over the years and even this year. But you look through, obviously, Munster or the Bromwich boys, Big Kafusi, Nelson, like they've all played in these big games, just as Olam. A few of the outside backs are a bit, green in that area. But they do have those big game players where the Raiders, you look through that, when did they play 2019 grand final? You probably look through there, there's probably half a dozen players still there that played in that, maybe 8 or so. But yeah, I suppose a big game experience probably sits with the Storm.
Yeah, most definitely. I was looking at it here too. I think Melbourne have got this one, I reckon. I'll be going with Melbourne. But I think with Canberra, if you look at through Canberra Raiders' eyes, a good handful of weeks ago, they didn't think they'd probably be in this position.
So they've got nothing to lose.
Well, exactly right. Yeah. So they're going to go out there. They've had a bit of a surprise and they've played well, a little bit of luck, and now they've made it. They're going to go out there and try and really put it on.
Yeah.
And I think with some of their leaders in there too, I think they have the old heads in there as well that'll sort of try and settle it back down and play smart footy without trying to do anything too showboaty and flash, causing some errors. And I think they can ruffle the Melbourne feathers. But like I think there's Melbourne at this time of year, they're just so good.
Flick that switch, brother, and it's a different side.
I think this will be a much better game than if it was Storm Broncos, to be honest, like I just mentioned before. I'm happy that the Raiders got in there. What about the Broncos, honestly? Anyway, this one, boys, I've actually given this multi to the Guru. We've changed things up a little bit here, obviously only the 4 games. So the Guru, the betting savant, he is a Raiders man, so I've given him this bet. He can put his little spin on this. I was a bit surprised with what he came back with. But anyway, nonetheless, I'll read it out. He's actually gone Storm 1-12. So similar to yourself, Berto, picking with his head, not his heart. He's gone Xavier Coates to get across the line, and Hudson Young, who's playing some great football at the moment. $20.02, so just over $20 there. So great little 3-leg multi. Again, got that 1-12, so keeps you interested for majority of the game, which is really good as well. So regardless, I think it'll be a good game. Big forwards for both sides. Probably going to be sort of fought in the middle of the field, I think, for the majority of the game there as well. Third game, boys. Sharks versus the Cowboys. Saturday, 7:50 p.m. at Shark Park. Head-to-head, this one's the closest of all the games. $1.70 for the Sharkies, $2.15 for the Cowboys. The line is set at only 2.5. $1.85 for the Sharks at the minus, or $1.95 for the Cowboys at the plus. Cowboys obviously trumped the Panthers last week, but it was a reserve grade squad. We spoke about it. They needed to beat them by about 30 points, I think, to actually get some confidence. If they only won by 6 or 8, that wouldn't have done their confidence any good. Sharkies had a good win as well, not up against a stiff competition. But I'm really intrigued about this one, boys. I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm actually picking the Cowboys for a bit of an upset. I think I can feel a bit of an ambush coming on here.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this game at work, and this is a sort of game where I think Cronulla could win fairly comfortably, being at home. As I said, I love Cronulla at home, mate. They're so strong down at PointsBet Stadium. If only it was Top Sport Stadium.
Might be next year.
The Top Sport Terrace down there. Boys, when you talk about big game, so we spoke about Melbourne in the last game, outnumbering the Raiders, so to speak, with that big game finals football experience. Now, if you can put it into perspective, if you look at the Cowboys side, even though there's not much finals football in there, there's still some big game football in there. Yep. I'm talking Jeremiah Nanai's, Tom Dearden walked into a 1-1 situation in Origin and put on a clinic. Ruben Cotter. Chad Townsend's won a comp. You look at players like Kyle Felt. He's been there. Murray Talangi, plays like that. And at the moment, Drinky's playing out of his skin. So, I'm with you there. Taumalolo, he's a Dally M winning
lock.
Yep. He's won he's Dally M winning lock, Dally M winning player. He's been proved to be the best player in the competition before. So, and then when you look at Cronulla, for example, they're getting Finucane back. Wade Graham's won a competition. Nico Hines, he's a little bit green, but he's been in that Melbourne system, so I think he'll be all the more better for it. So, boys, I think this game's going to be terrific.
Yeah, a few big ins for the Sharkies here too. So, Will Kennedy's been named at fullback after that hip drop tackle that he had. Pardon me, on him. Tony Rudolph comes in as well. Finucane, your boy, he's back at lock. Now, a bit of concern about Talakai with his ankle. So he's been named, but they've also got Connor Tracy. So look at him, maybe a bit of shuffling around there. It might be an hour before the kickoff kind of thing. So just keep an eye out for him. If you do have Talakai as an anytime try scorer, just do that with a bit of caution there. And as far as the Cowboys go, Cohen Hess returns from a suspension. So that's a pretty big in for them as well. Again, big game experience.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, I did mention before, I said I don't care who wins this game. That's because I don't have anything against either side. It wouldn't really matter who wins this. Now, I was looking through the Sharks draw. They had a pretty good draw for this year. And I think they had only literally a couple of wins against the top six or top 8, whatever it was. So coming into this game, I think they're going to be a little bit nervy. I think because they haven't had those wins against the good clubs. They had played a lot of the majority of their games against the weaker sides. I think Penrith had a similar draw too this year as well. It's just luck of the draw pretty much. Whereas you look at the Cowboys, like they've earned it. They've pretty much played all the good guys twice. So they're going to be seasoned in those bigger games as well. I was unlucky last week, missed out on the Cowboys multi by one leg again.
I think we missed about 3 or 4 multis last week by one leg between us all. Well, it was horrible.
I missed 2. what was the Cowboys one? I had Nenai, I think, had him to score.
He's got 100 tries this season.
Yep.
Can't get across.
And they just kept going left.
He'll get over this weekend.
He will. But I'm going to stick with Sharks because it's a Sharks home game. And I think Nico Hines can really turn it up here. I think he can really lead them and push forward. But in saying that, if the Cowboys win, good on them because they've had a cracker of a season.
Yep, I'm picking the Cowboys, as I said, bit of an upset here. I've gone Cows 1-12. I think it'll be close like the other two games. Kyle Felt, big game player. He did that, scored that try obviously in the 2015 grand final. I can see him getting across the line, and also Mulatalo. He just scores every week at the moment. $14.80 for a little 3-leg there. So thanks to TopSport. If you like those odds, head on over and sign up. Use the code SGM Podcast when you do. Some great odds there. Last game of the finals, boys, and what a cracker to finish it. It opened the new stadium last week, and it's going to be the second game played there this weekend. Roosters up against the South, Sunday 4 p.m. Some dry football, hopefully there in the afternoon. Allianz Stadium, head-to-head, the Roosters are the favourite. $1.60 here, $2.35 for Souths. The line set at 4.5, $2 at the minus for the Roosters, or $1.80 at the plus for Souths. Repeat of last week, or are we going to see something different?
I don't know. If you compare both teams' back lines from 1 through to 5, chalk and cheese players. They've all, like with the one-on-one matchups, they both play different styles of football the whole way through the list. The game's going to reflect that for the attacking point of view. I think we're going to see a lot of good those long balls from Latrell and Cody Walker. I think that's kicking in already. That stuff.
0.05%.
And then got some good news for the Chooks. Tupou's back on the squad as well.
Yeah, nice.
He's back out there on the wing, so we'll be getting all that high ball action out there in the corners from them. We can definitely beat them even without Manu.
Big out though, big
Yeah,
out.
oh, yeah, definitely big time. But we've got Adam Kieran's filling in on the bench for a bit of subby action there, so he can sort of slide out to the centres. If something goes wrong out there with Momorowski or Drew Hutchison this week, so.
I was actually quite impressed with Momorowski last week. He made some really good defensive calls.
He's been getting better.
Yeah. So I think that obviously comes with playing in the squad consistently. But I was actually quite impressed. I kept a really good eye on him last week, and he did some good calls. Just in regards to changes there, boys, as you mentioned, Joey Manu out with that calf, possibly all season, depending on how the Roosters go. Momorowski comes in. Tupu and Suali'i return from injury. That drops Nagama to the reserves. Radley returns at lock as well there for them. And as you sort of said there, Ches, Kieran fills in the bench. For the Rabbitohs, Cook returns at hooker, which is a big in. Havili dropping to the bench. And Campbell Graham returns in the centres, as I sort of said with Trissa, big in for them. And maybe Cam Murray as well, who was knocked out in the second tackle of the game last week. A big out for the Souths.
And with the Joey Manu calf, I heard he's not going to be right until about the World Cup.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's a big
I
blow.
think we're going to see him
Kiwis.
play.
And he knew it straight away. He was doing these ones, signaling,
He did well to get back,
to make a tackle.
just to show that heart.
Yeah.
Having said that, he came from an offside position to make that tackle too.
Did he?
Yeah, so the tackle was complete. He rolled off the tackle, holding his leg, so he didn't make the 10. Got up and made that tackle.
True.
So,
Yeah, okay.
But Roosters are protected. So
remember a couple of weeks ago, he pulled up with the ball,
yeah,
holding
yeah,
his
yeah,
leg,
yeah.
and then he took off.
Yeah, he did. So
That's that injury, and they had a little picture of it, of like what it looks like. It looks like someone's got like an old hacksaw and has put a big slice up the back of his calf.
yeah, wow.
Yeah, geez.
So, yeah.
My point of view on that game, I thought the Roosters put on an absolute clinic last, made a coaching masterclass to put the ball high,
For Latrell.
straight to Latrell Mitchell to take him out. If you look at, say, some of the explosive wingers in the game. So we use a couple of the Polynesian gentlemen, for example. You got Ravalawa, Micah Sivo, those sort of big frame bodies. Chooks, for example, they've got Daniel Tupou when he's fit. They've got those big boys taking it out of their own end. The problem when you've got someone like young Jackson Parlour and AJ Alex Johnson, the problem is their frames aren't big. They're not exactly big men. They're all hips and nothing else really. The way I see it is if Latrell can't take the ball out of their own end, they're in trouble, which they did on the weekend. They took it. The ball went straight to Latrell, which then denied him the opportunity to get ahead of steam and try and barge through the line, try and get the ball rolling, quick play the balls and get up and beyond it. But whoever's idea that was, mate, I thought that was a master. And I identified that after about the third or fourth kick. I said, mate, they're going to Latrell every time to take him out of the play. Mate, that's terrific football.
And it was a great kick chase too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A kick is only as good as the chase, as they always say. And there was one effort there from Hargraves, and they all come down, and Latrell was running across the try line. Hargraves missed him, but he kept up the chase. And then Manu come and hit him hard, but it was actually Jared then impact after chasing up that actually pushed him back into the in goal
rather than
forced
being
a field goal.
Rather
than just giving up on the play, he's missed
yeah.
him. He kept going, and his drive into that tackle. There's four players, but it was his drive that actually took Latrell back in the in goal. So he's playing some great footy too, Jared.
I know, thank you.
Quality player.
I'm going to go the Roosters. I do like the ins for the South though, and I am worried about Joey Manu and how they're going to cover that out in the centres. They are a bit light on. We're looking at the centres here, Momorowski and Drew Hutchison. They've both done some good jobs, as I just mentioned. Momorowski's been good, but I just worry about them a little bit there. And with with South, the key players coming back, but I am going to go the Roosters. Yeah,
I'm going to go the Roosters too. I think it'll be super, super close. I think Cook and Murray, if Murray plays, that'll tighten up that middle. But I think that the Roosters have just got, how do you say it? They've got the momentum, not only the momentum, but they've already got one up on them last week. So that'll be playing in the back of their mind at the same time. It'll also give the Roosters a bit of a boost. So Chooks for me.
Your multi.
I'll let my multi reveal my tip for this week. I've gone for the game to be a total of over 42.5 points. Roosters, the first team to score. And I've gone, now I had to change that, didn't I?
Yeah, you're going Roosters at plus 4.5 at the line.
Minus
4.5 at the line, sorry. Minus
so Roosters minus 4.5 at the line, giving the South a bit of a start.
Yep.
Alex Johnson, any-timer for the Rabbitohs. And I've gone Suali'i now, not Suali, Suali'i. And Teddy, the big man at the back, and that's a whopping $19.56.
So a six-legger. That's I think that's about the first six-legger we've had on the podcast all year. I'm going to have to change all my graphics up online. So that's going to be fun tonight when I'm doing the edit. Thanks for that, Mr. Cherry.
That's right.
But just a tick under $20 there for that nice big multi. So yeah, very good. As I said, boys, before, we only got the 4 games. We've changed things up a little bit with the way we bet, giving the Guru a game to pick. We've still got a bit of money left over thanks to TopSport and to give to our charity. So what we're going to do, we've each picked a winner out of the games that we had our multi for, and we've combined all them together. Now, Berto, you're going...
Yeah, I'm going to go Penrith, bet with my head.
The Guru's going Storm. I'm going the Cowboys. You're going...
Roosters.
All right, so we've got Panthers, Storm, Cowboys, Roosters. If we multi all them up thanks to TopSport, $6.84. So we've had a whack on that as well. So hopefully if we get all 4 of them up, should see a bit of coin come back for our charities as well, which is fantastic. About $2,500 in that kitty at the moment for the charities. We have 3 charities, which is great.
That's
so
nice, yeah.
Still got 4 weeks to play with as well. So looking forward to that. That wraps up Finals Week 1 preview, lads. Is there anything else we want to say before we do go?
No. I'm pumped, eh? Let's go.
It's good. I can't wait. Like I said, the only downside, we've got to wait to Friday.
Mate, I've been waiting. If you add in pre-season trials, what do you reckon? 30 weeks.
Yep.
30 weeks in a 52-week year to watch some finals. So to watch Parramatta go out in straight sets. No, please don't.
Sudden death footy.
Please don't.
Next week we'll only have 2 games to preview, so she might be a bit of a short show, but I'm sure we'll find some fillers anyway.
Yeah,
Might do a double beer of the week.
We might bring the trivia back as well.
Hey, now we're talking. A little trivia, baby.
Heads up there. If you do watch the footy, please enjoy it. And if you do have a punt, please do so responsibly. And as always, don't eat your soup with a fork. And we'll catch you next week. Thanks. Bye.